Okay. Hello, welcome back. I have literally just finished editing and have uploaded episode 1, so that's still fresh in my mind. And speaking of, there's one thing I forgot to mention. I stuck it in the description of episode 1, so do feel free to have a look. But this entire series has been very much inspired by, well, some great heroes of mine, really. Some amazing YouTubers, those being Pixelriffs and Mr. Beardstone. And Tango Tech, for that matter, who I forgot to mention, so he'll get a mention in the comments of this, not in the comments, in the description of this video. Pixelriffs, his Survival Guide Series 1, I think, is the pinnacle of Minecraft survival Let's Plays. I watched, it was pretty much the first thing I ever watched on YouTube. So yeah, I have massive respect for that guy. Mr. Beardstone, all the stuff he's doing with the Create mod is fantastic. Go and look at his channel, because his channel, he makes fantastic farms and then also builds pretty buildings around them. While I try to make pretty buildings, I'm not a very good builder, so, you know, don't hold out too much hope. And then Tango Tech was how I originally got into the Create mod, watching his multiplayer Create series with a couple of the hermits. So do go check out all of those channels. Frankly, if you're watching my channel, you probably already know about them, but yeah, do have a look, they're awesome. Anyway, let's get cracking with some Create mod. Now, I appear to have spawned in a tree, which I was under the impression was only a problem in Bedrock, but there we go. Now, Create doesn't really get going, oh, it's a birch forest, until you're a bit later into the game. So I am probably going to turn off my microphone for the minute and just speedrun early game Create, or speedrun early game Minecraft even, because, I mean, quite frankly, you know how to make a pickaxe. If you're playing modded Minecraft, I'd be very disappointed in you if you didn't know how to, you know, make a pickaxe, punch a tree, all that sort of thing. Not necessarily in that order now I think about it, but, you know. So, yeah, I am going to switch my mic off now, and I will give you a wondrous time-lapse of me getting probably up to sort of iron-ish, so, yeah, I will see you in, well, like 30 seconds for you and maybe about half an hour for me. Toodles! Right, well, that was a heck of a lot faster than I was expecting. I happened to find quite a bounteous cave quite quickly, how wonderful. But I should like very much draw your attention to, firstly, this stuff. Now this stuff, as I very much hope you know and can see, is andesite. Now, without andesite you cannot do anything Create, so when you're doing your first mining trip, make sure to gather a bunch of it. Obviously we will eventually automate it, but for the time being, grab a couple stacks of it, that'll do. And the other thing I'd like to draw your attention to, I did see some around here and now I've lost it, I'll mind that in a sec, don't you worry, is zinc ore. Where did I here it is. Now, zinc ore, this confused me the first time I played Create. You can't mine it with a stone pick. Now zinc essentially, for the time being at least, acts as a bit of an iron substitute, so the things, sort of base Minecraft things like hoppers that you need iron for, you can save your iron for that, and then use zinc for the Create mod stuff. Once we get a little later on, it does have its own stuff, obviously, there wouldn't be any point in just adding an iron substitute. But for the time being, that's all we've got. Now, I'm a little low on food, I'd quite like a backpack as things go, so I'm going to clamber my way out of this hole very quickly. And you'll probably get another time-lapse of me running around murdering things and getting a backpack. And then once we've got a backpack, I will get cracking with some actual Create mod stuff, rather than just running around mining and whatnot. So yes, I'm going to turn my microphone back off again now. Enjoy the second time-lapse of today's video. I shall return shortly. Adios! do not have a backpack yet. I just need one more piece of string. But I found quite a nice place to settle down. It's reasonably flat. Just over that hill, as you may have spotted in the time-lapse, there is a village. I haven't got around to raiding that village yet. I'll probably just do that between episodes. To be fair, where that village is kind of where I want to set up, but I don't want to have to faff about clearing out that village. So for now, this will be like my industrial area. Then over there, I've got a plan to build something really cool that I'm going to keep as a surprise as best I can. But that will be done later once I've got more gear and a massive drill to just wipe out all the villagers at once. Yep. So we're going to actually get cracking with some create mod stuff now. I'm going to stick some iron on to cook because we're going to need some iron. But the first thing I want, at least, is a millstone. One of these things. Now the reason I want a millstone is because if I were to murder one of these sheep, I could then use this millstone to grind the wool down into string, which I can then use to get the oh-so-desired backpack. But, as you may be able to tell, a millstone requires some non-vanilla things, to nobody's great surprise given this is modded. So, we need andesite casing and cogwheel. Now, we're in JEI, so we can click on those to find out what we need. So, manual item application of an andesite alloy onto a log. Andesite alloy is crafted as such. This is what I mean where you can interchange iron and zinc. Now, I'm just going to knock up a second furnace quickly, so that I can get my zinc on to cook as well as my iron. So I'm going to wait for that to cook because I'd rather use zinc than iron, because iron is useful for other things such as armour and tools, whereas without stuff and additions zinc is not, and we don't currently have stuff and additions. But then you craft as such and you get some andesite alloy. How wonderful. Now I need a log. Hello, Jesus. Okay, hi. Well, you're my backpack now. That sheep shall be forever remembered as the greatest jump scare we've ever had. Yes, the greatest jump scare of this series so far. Yes, we're in episode 2. Yes, right, so, I'm just gonna brutally murder this tree. But what you can do is if you alter mine, you can strip loads of logs at once, because it has to be a stripped log, not just a log. So that is a great little tip for you. There is also an add-on mod for Create that I haven't installed, but it's Create Ultimine Compatibility, which then allows you to encase like so. I should have clarified that actually, hang on. You pop the log down, get your andesite alloy, smack it. Ooh, I broke my pickaxe, how wonderful. Yeah, and it's fairly simple, but you get yourself some andesite casing. Now, the other thing we needed was some cogwheels, so we're going to need some shafts, which you get from 2 andesite alloy like so. You get 8 of them, these are very important, and then you put some birch planks next to them and you get an cogwheel. Now, from that I can now create my millstone. So, we can place down this millstone, and we can even get some wool and lob it at it, but nothing's going to happen because this isn't spinning. Now with Create mod, everything is powered with rotational power. Now, we need therefore some stress units in order to power this. I don't currently have any form of stress unit creation, so let's get some. Let's get ourselves a hand crank. One of these things. So, what do we need? We need some logs and an andesite alloy, which means I need another andesite alloy. Right. Let's get that, and that. Don't worry, all of this will be automated within the next few episodes. So, let's get ourselves an hand crank. But, you can't just plonk a hand crank on there, it won't spin. But you see, this has tooth-like gears. So, if that's not a hint, I don't know what is. So we need a cogwheel. Now, we could use a small cogwheel, exactly like we just did. But if we use a large cogwheel and combine it with some clever maths, I say some clever maths, you don't actually have to do the maths, and put that at an angle, we then have this has been gear ratioed up, so that is now spinning twice as fast as that. Now you could do it with a regular cogwheel rather than a large one, but this just now works twice as fast. So now we throw in our white wool, and you can see on what's that called, jade up at the top, that there is now one white wool in here. We're going to spin that right round, baby, right round. We get the advancement for embrace the grind, and we get now one string, which we can then left click to retrieve and use that to craft and I'm going to need a chest first, actually. There we go, I did it. And oh god, I can't spell today, I'm not doing well. And backpack, there we go. We have an backpack now. Now backpack is good, curio slot is better, so backpack goes in there, and then it is B is the default keybind to get into your backpack. Depending on how long this series takes to quote-unquote complete, I may end up just rebinding that to E, because 9 times out of 10 you want to use your backpack. Now, I'm going to try not to focus on backpacks too much today, or at all really, but it does need to be mentioned because they're in the pack and they are very useful. These are upgrade slots, which is all of these things. They're very useful. Now you get tiers of backpacks, you can upgrade them as you go, and then the more tiers you get, the more upgrade slots you get. Now I am actually just going to, by the way, you can either go E and then curios icon to get there, or you can just press G to get into your curios. But I am going to upgrade straight to iron, so you put your backpack in the middle and surround it with iron. What was relative? You get iron, gold, diamond, and netherite. It's fairly standard. But I don't have any gold or diamonds or anything really. So that can go in there. Now, first thing you're always going to want is a crafting upgrade. Now, can I make an upgrade base? No, because I don't have enough string. Okay, so that's going to be done later, probably between episodes, because like I say, I do not want to be focusing on backpacks. This is a create series, not a sophisticated backpack series. I mean, frankly, a sophisticated backpack series would just be boring. But once I get it upgraded, I will talk you through my sort of basic setup with it, just so that you know what I've got going on. But yeah, I'm not going to focus on it, is my point. So I'm now happy, I have a backpack. I'm just going to chuck all my stuff in there. If you hold shift and that button, it will just transfer everything from these into there. I think this is a mouse tweaks thing, not a sophisticated backpack thing. And then I like to sort by mod. If you just hit that button without shifting, it will oh, I've just crashed into my lunch. It will only transfer things that are already in there, so that's also very useful. Anyway, we have our first create machine here, and that's great. We like this. But we need other create machines. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into JI, and we're going to press at and create. Oh, I still can't spell. And then this has shown us all of the create mod things that we've got. And there's also all of this stuff, which is all the decorative things. But the first sort of 3 or so pages are all of your machines. Now, we already have one of these fellas. What we probably want next is a mechanical press. This really opens things up for us. So we already have an andesite casing, we already have a shaft, so we just need a block of iron. I am actually just going to take all of that because I don't currently have the crafting upgrade. So if I go in there, block of iron, I do not have sufficient iron. There we go, try that again, block of iron. I can then move that and then make a press. There we go, how impressive. I know my comic genius is unrivaled. Now, you can stick a press on the ground just like that, but if I grab my hand crank, that's not going to do anything because it's far too close to the ground. As you may be able to tell, this bit's meant to go up and down, but it can't go up and down because there's a block in the way. So, we then break our press. What we want to do is put it atop a block. Now, eventually, we will use a depot for this, and I will talk about depots later, but for the time being, that's a waste of perfectly good andesite, so just stick with that as is. Now, with this mechanical press, you may be able to guess what it does, but it presses. Specifically, it presses metals. So, I'm going to stick 4 pieces of iron under there, and then crank our crank, and we get the achievement bonk. Fairly self-explanatory, but every time it hits, it will bonk a single piece of metal placed beneath it. So then with 4 presses, we get 4 iron sheets. Now 4 iron sheets are great because it then allows us to make a propeller, which I need to be, sorry, I'm so used to being in the backpack where I've got my crafting upgrade. So we can make a propeller, and then with said propeller I need an andesite casing, that's fine. I'm going to just make 2 because they're very useful. With said propeller we can then craft an encased fan. Now, encased fan might not seem like the most useful thing in the world, but believe you me, it is incredibly useful. Now, what we also want is another large cogwheel, for reasons I shall explain right now. So, if with another large cogwheel you place it, or you look at this edge of a different large cogwheel, it will then give you the option to place it like so, which then means if I grab that and spin that, that now also spins because the teeth are intertwined. I mean, they don't look very intertwined, but they are, I promise. Which then allows us to place our encased fan down. Now the encased fan will get power. Oh no, we're overstressed because... So, this is something I should explain. So, everything in the Create mod runs on SU, stress units. If you have enough stress units, things will spin. If you don't have enough stress units, things will become overstressed. Now, you can obviously reduce load on the system by just removing bits and bobs like that. Or, alternatively, what you can do is add more power sources, which is exactly what we're going to do now, because frankly, I don't want to be cranking this till Kingdom Come. I want to be just stood here while it does things for itself. Now, we have a variety of different options for power generation. We could go down the route of steam generation, we could go down the route of, I've lost it, windmills. And those are both great. Personally, I don't tend to go for windmills because they're just slow and not too big to be worth your effort. And we will be making a wondrous steam generator later, but we don't currently have ready access to some form of fuel. So, our best option is a water wheel. Specifically a large water wheel. You can use small water wheels, it's exactly the same difference really, but large water wheels produce more SU for the same speed, as I understand it. But I do need some more planks. My tree is yet to grow, so I'm going to run over here and steal. I don't like breaking big trees, so I'm going to go over here and whack this one with my axe. Ooh, pumpkins. My axe is broken, so I'll just... We don't leave floating trees on this channel. I shall have to explore that hole between episodes if I ever need resources. I should clarify, I'm going to try and avoid doing things between episodes, so that everything's completely transparent, you know I'm not cheating. So any big advancements like getting diamonds, for example, will be done in episode, but, you know, if I'm just doing a bit of mining for a little bit of iron for a project that we're doing, I'm not going to bother showing you all of that because it's not worth your time or mine, really. Or I suppose your time on my SSD, I should say. Now, can anybody remember what I was supposed to be doing? I've forgotten. Water wheels, that's what I was supposed to be doing. Right, let's get some planks and let's make some water wheels. Now, if you simply do that, you can make yourself an large water wheel. I am, in fact, going to make another large cogwheel. And another small cogwheel, excuse me, and another large cogwheel. Where did my small cogwheel go? Oh, I just made it into, right, yep. I need more shafts, damn you. Right, let me just make a butt-ton of andesite alloy, which is there. Give me all that. Then I can do that, wondrous, and then that again. Excellent. So the reason I've made a small cogwheel is just like with this gear ratio we've got going on here, you can do exactly the same thing, just with small cogwheels and large cogwheels. That's sort of the point. I think I've got that the wrong way around. Do you know, I have been playing this mod for years and years, and I still always get that the wrong way around the first time I do it. So, that's going to go there. That one. No, that's not what I wanted to do, but thank you for trying. We were going to do that, and then we're going to do that, and I'm going to probably stick another ratio on there, just for good measure. So if we do grab those and stick that on there. Now if you encase that, you can see it no longer has a shaft sticking out of it, which means you can put that on there without those two connecting, but these two are still connected, so you can compact your ratios a little bit. But then I can just stick my absolutely massive water wheel here. We're going to need to dig a little bit of the channel. Conveniently I have exactly enough iron to make an bucket, and there's some water over here. Now water wheels can be powered with any variety of fluid, which is useful in the nether, because as you may be aware, you can't place water in the nether. So you can use lava if you happen to be in the nether and need a water wheel power source, which we'll probably be using later when we get round to automating lava and such like. Yes, but for the time being, water is the best because lava flows slower than water. But you see now, that is spinning. All of our stuff is now spinning automatically. Now I'm going to grab another large cogwheel. Right, that's important. I'll talk about that in a second. I'm going to break everything apparently. I'm going to put that there then. And then I'm going to just stick my press on it and hope it doesn't overstress. Huzzah! Okay. You go there then. So I can speed this up a little bit if I want to. By using the hand crank, but for the time being that'll do. Now, you see the fan we crafted a minute ago that I got distracted immediately away from. These particles are going towards it, which means if I stand here, you may be able to see I'm very slowly getting sucked towards the fan. And the faster you have the fan spinning, not only the longer these particles will go on, but the faster they suck also. Also, the closer you get to the fan, the faster they suck, because of the inverse square law, if you're interested in the physics. But if we were to somehow, hang on, I'm in the wrong place. You come here. Maybe on there? No, that's still sucking. Okay, I can't find a suitable spot, but if we were to put, say, another cogwheel on here, and have this spinning in the other direction, it would instead blow. Now, in this particular instance, it doesn't really make the greatest amount of difference to me, because for what we're doing, it's all the same. But what we're going to do is we're going to do that. Now, we want some sort of non-solid block that I'm going to put in, so I'm going to just use some stairs, because that's simple. And that's the stairs are going to go there, and then we're going to want the cobblestone to encase, but I am actually going to use an inverted stair here purely for access, because then I can get in here rather than having to jump up. Just a bit easier, you don't have to do that in the slightest. That stair you do need, but not the other one. But then I can do that, and to stop us getting sucked in, we can just close that off there. Now, important things about fans. The speed at which a fan is spinning does not affect the quantity at which it blows. The speed at which a fan is spinning only affects the distance and what it does, it affects the speed at which things move. It does not affect the speed at which things are affected by it, because if I were to run all the way over here again, I did see some lava over there, so I'll go and get that. If I were to go all the way over here, I haven't planned this very well, have I? I should have put my base closer to some water rather than just running backwards and forwards all day. Grab some more water and then leg it back. Don't worry, we will create all sorts of transport systems with trains. Oh, I'm looking forward to trains. I am normally very ADHD, as you may be able to tell from my somewhat sporadic noticing of things. But whenever it comes to trains, the tism comes out fully. But now these particles have gone blue, which then means that they are now washing. Now, I don't believe I have anything that I can currently wash. No, I do not. Not on me, at least. So, this isn't exactly very useful to us, but if I were to put lava here, instead of water, this would act essentially like a fuelless furnace. So by placing our raw copper, that was terrible. I'm going to by placing some raw copper on there, with lava over there, it would then eventually smelt into some copper ingots. But the only thing to note with that is if you were to put some food on there, it would just be destroyed because of the lava particles. If you want to cook something, you instead need to put a campfire there. You can also put a soul campfire there in order to haunt things, but we will get onto that later. So far today we have gone through water wheels, some basic gear ratio stuff. I should clarify, each one of these ratios doubles the speed at which these things are spinning. So that is spinning, I believe, at 16 RPM. Don't quote me on that. Does it say on here? No, it does not. But then we've doubled it to 32 and then doubled it again to 64. The maximum is 256. You can, if you go into the config somewhere, I think it's in there. I don't know, I can't remember where it is. There you go, max rotational speed. You can up it as pretty much as far as you want, but my advice is don't, because 256 is a good cap. That's because anything further than that and it just gets sort of ridiculous. I was really hoping that would turn into a chicken. But I think we're going to call it there. We've gone through milling, we've gone through pressing, I've gone briefly through washing. No, I didn't have anything to wash with which to demonstrate, but I will, the reason I've set this up is I will go and fetch some lava, and this will be our furnace. We don't need to use these furnaces with coal anymore. So, that's it. We've done all of this stuff that is currently before you, some very basic create mod stuff. In between episodes I am going to raid that village, probably go mining, acquire some lava, and that's basically it. So that will probably take me about an hour or so, and then once again I'm going to go straight on to recording the next video, which will probably be making our first proper system. So between episodes I also need to acquire some kelp, so I will be doing that. I will record all of that and put it as a time-lapse at the start of the next video, don't worry. But I'm going to sign off for now. I very much hope you enjoyed watching me ramble about the Create mod. I never write scripts for these things because I've spent quite a lot of time doing performance and things, so I always think I can improvise, and then I panic and don't very well, so I apologise that this perhaps wasn't the most coherent episode in the world, but I very much hope you enjoyed it. Do feel free to like, subscribe. This series is great fun, so I'm going to be carrying on with it. Yes, I have some big plans for what's going on over there. Whether they'll come to fruition or not, I do not know. So, like, subscribe. I hope that you stick around for the next episode, which will probably be coming out in a couple of days. Yes, I hope you have a lovely day. I love you all very much, and I shall bid you now adieu. Bye!